80,000 of 108, 325,000 that have already been processed. All right, with me now, we have Patricia Ruiz-Cantu and Douglas Haig, Republican, Democrat. Both of them are on the Milwaukee Election Commission. First of all, how are things going, and do you think we're going to find out something soon?
We will. I think things are going really well, even though we had a little hiccup. But, as we united, all the workers and the parties, I think that it's extremely important that we were in the same page and that we had an agreement and everything is going well.
What did you make of this? I know Ron Johnson came out, a Republican, and was very, upset with all of this and was sort of making hay about it. What were your thoughts on what happened with these machines?
Well, there was a human error in part of it. So when it was caught, we just simply did a rerun on with the processing and the tabulators, and even probably some of the tabulators should have seen it, but it was caught by one of the observers who brought it to the executive director's attention, and it was acted upon immediately. We took care of it, and yes, we anticipated much further delay than we are, but I think we're right on schedule where we anticipate to be earlier. And true, if you can see around and look at the co-workers at work, we both have Democrats and Republicans working side by side. And many of them have been doing this for many years, and they've become very efficient about it, and they're with the integrity from each group. So I think we're going to be getting those numbers fairly soon. I don't want to say as early as we would like, but I think it's going to be earlier than what we thought before we had the hiccup, so to speak.
Just to both of you, what do you think of this, the number of voters? Are you seeing the numbers larger than in 2020, and what are you seeing now?
I'm not seeing as large as I thought before. But most of us were going out to the polls earlier too. The polls were a steady, nice flow. What I did see is a high volume of same-day registrations. That would seem to be a much more increase at all the polling sites, and not just one geographical area, whether it be whatever demographics, but it was all over that was encompassed. And I talked to each chief inspector, and that is the area that I saw a much increase in the participation of same-day registration.
Same-day registration, we saw that also in Cedarburg today. A lot of people coming and registering and voting. Thank you both so much. We should just make very clear, you heard it here from a Republican and a Democrat who are election commissioners, that there is agreement. This is going to be a free and fair election here in Milwaukee. People are watching every single bit of this and agreeing that things are going as smoothly as possible after that hiccup earlier today.
All right, Sarah Seidner in Milwaukee, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's take a look at Milwaukee and Wisconsin at large. Donald Trump in the lead with 66% of the vote in the state in general. Tell me about the WOW counties, if you could.
You're right around Milwaukee, or the WOW. Let me get to it just a second. Just for interest, number one, we've learned about Senator Johnson in recent years. He likes to put out press releases before he knows what the facts are. Sorry, it just happens to be true, especially about voter integrity. That's how it's supposed to work. Democrat and Republicans standing side by side, Democrats and Republicans throughout the room. They're fine. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They had a human error. We're all human, and they're fixing it. Right? That's how it works. Sometimes it needs to wait a little while, but you have people in the room, eyeballs, both parties, eyeballs on everything. Yep. Everything's going to be fine. But the point Mr. Haig made at the end is instructive to me in the sense that if you come to here, you're down, you're the vice president, you're losing by just shy of 60,000 votes. This is the number one county. It is 17%, 17% of the state population. You're getting 66%, so you say, okay, there's still 40% of the vote to come in. But Mr. Haig just made a point. He said everything turnout was great. Let's see what these final numbers are, because if you look at that number right there, you look at 176,000, right? When Joe Biden carried Wisconsin 4 years ago, he said 317,000, and it's 69% of the vote, right? So 317,000 and 69% of the vote. He's at 66% of the vote, and the raw math, right? You need a higher percentage, but you need that raw math to overcome what is happening in all this red, right? Especially, one more check and I'll get you through your wows. Dane County is 95% in, right? This is Madison, this is the University of Wisconsin. Young voters, college area, tends to be more liberal. 74% for her, 242,000. Again. Biden's number's higher, and the math is higher. That's what happens in battle. That's how you win or lose battleground states.
Get out the vote, and get out the vote, and
right,
the higher percentage.
Right. And so in the state won by 20,000 votes. You saw the margin even just right there. So let's go to the WOW. you're going to go to Waukesha County, which just here recently, right? This is a place the Harris campaign was hoping, hey, women, you don't have to tell your husband who you're going to vote for. If you believe in reproductive freedom in a conservative county, vote Harris. Just don't tell your husband that. This is one of the places they thought the Dobbs decision, reproductive freedom, abortion rights, would help them cut into the margins. Well, we're at 91%. We'll see. But 40% is her number. If you round that up, we'll go back in time. It's a tiny bit, but it's not a significant jump from where the president was 4 years ago. And Trump's at 60% if you round up then. He's at 59. So a little bit, maybe a tiny inroads there for her. So you're moving around up here. You go up to Washington County. This is a big 70% of the vote here for Trump. Let's just double check it and come back.
He improved.
Up a little bit. He improved a little bit. And then you come over here to the O. I did wow backwards for you there. I put the O at the end.
Yeah.
But you go over to Ozaki here, and the former president is at 55% of the vote in 2020, and he's at 56, roughly the same, but a little bit, so Trump is not underperforming. It's maybe within the margins, but when you see that well behind where President Biden was, and now you're waiting on this. I mean, there are some other small things. Let's take a look and see what else is out there. But as you can see, the biggest thing is here, and some of these votes out here, if you're in the Trump campaign, we're talking about can she come back? But if you're in the Trump campaign, you're also saying here's a push. Is there more coming in for us? And the answer is yes.
They got all that great data.
The answer is yes when you look up there. So the next thing we learned from Milwaukee is how many votes, what is her percentage, how does it affect the statewide map, and then how much is left? How much is left? In your biggest area, you have to turn it up. Because then again, I just want to come up here and look at this. Again, Brown County, this is Green Bay, blue-collar workers. Trump's getting 61, the vice president's getting 37 or 38 if you want to round that up. That matters.
Oh my God,
that matters.
He almost shot almost 10 points, 9 points.
In a battleground state, he's up and she's down in a place where if you're the Harris campaign, the Biden campaign, you're not going to win here. You're not going to win here. But if you make it that race, if you make it that close, instead of that close, you get a better result. Period. It's simple math.
Let's go on to the third of the blue wall states, Michigan. Jim Sciutto is at a vote counting center in Detroit. And Jim, you have an update on the vote in Wayne County. Tell us.
Well, let me tell you, we've been in touch with the Secretary of State's office really every few minutes here, trying to figure out when we're going to get another batch of Detroit, of course, the surrounding Wayne County votes. And we're told very soon. They won't put a figure on very soon, but very soon. They're working hard, calculating those numbers, counting those votes, and that there have been no issues. They're not encountering any issues with machines, etc. This is just a process of getting the work done. We've also been in touch with Macomb County, where we were outside of Detroit earlier today. They are also expecting, they say, another batch of votes to be reported quite soon. And here where we are in Detroit, this is the location where they've been counting the absentee ballots. Just in the last hour, another 2,500 or so absentee ballots came in. That brings us pretty much to the end of the 100,000 that they've expected. At some point in the next hour, we'll see another U-Haul truck come in with the remaining absentee ballots that they've collected from drop boxes around the city here. And they've been counting as they've been going. Remember, because they started counting last Monday, they didn't have to wait till Election Day. So those numbers will be done soon. I will say the Secretary of State told me earlier this evening that she's moving up her expectation that by midday tomorrow they could report final unofficial results, saying she believes they might be able to do that tonight, perhaps after midnight in the next couple of hours. But of course, they'll have to get those Wayne County numbers done first. I should note, the Secretary of State just walked in here to monitor the counting of those absentee ballots, as she's been doing at precincts around the state.
All right, Jim Sciutto, thank you so much. Jim Sciutto in Detroit. John, it's 2024. They only have 16% reported in Wayne County, home of Detroit.
One of the things you look for in life is consistency.
Death taxes, Wayne County.
Wayne County, Gary, Indiana, they're consistent. This is my 10th presidential election, and it's the 10th time you've been counting late in the night and you're saying, hello, Detroit, hello. Yeah. It's the way it is. But, you see the Secretary of State's there, Jim is there. Again, that's nothing nefarious. It's just inefficiency, to your point about it. We live in a technological age. And Jim just said, they changed the law in Michigan so you could count some of the early votes, beforehand, and then release them after the polls close. So it adds to the why. But right now, let's focus on the what, which is an 86,000 vote, almost 87,000 vote lead for the former president, again, in one of the states he flipped in. I'll pull that out to make sure I'm right. Yes, he's leading in all three of them now.
Oh, wait, yeah, that changed while we were talking.
She
was ahead in Michigan, and now she is no longer ahead. Now Donald Trump is in the lead. Right now, not all the votes are counted, but right now he's leading in all three blue wall states.
Plus North Carolina, plus Georgia, plus Arizona, plus Nevada. We're not done with the count.
But this is right now the map of 2016.
That is the map of 2016, and that is the five alarm fire inside the Harris campaign to get on the phone. Again, we're not done, and we lived through 2020. And I want to say it again, slowly and clearly. 2020, this time of night, there were states that changed, and they were largely, Pennsylvania changed, Trump was ahead. In Georgia, things have changed. There's not as many mail ballots out there as in 2020, so I would not expect as dramatic a swing. The question then becomes, well, state by state, county by county, is the map there? And, I'm making these, I'm trying to be fair and trying to be, possible, it's possible. When you're leading in all of them, and you're Trump, that's what you're saying with the headquarters. So maybe they're not going to win them all. Right? Maybe they're not going to win them all. But they're leading in all right now. So let's just look at what happened here. They come on in. Number one, it's the smaller rural counties. When they fill in, again, you say, oh, that's not a lot of votes. Well, that's a lot of votes when you have it there, and then you have it here, and then you have it again here. You're getting 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 in all these little counties. 120 votes there. That's only 5% reporting. You say, oh, that's not much. It's a lot when you think you're going through a state and you have all these counties. And then the question is, so what are the Democratic margins, right? You've got 83 counties in the state of Michigan. So 56%, we're about halfway through in Kent County. It's the Grand Rapids suburbs, and she's running a little bit ahead of the president there. But, Jake, the big question in Michigan is, when do those Wayne County votes come in, and what do they do to the statewide total?
All right, John. Well, CNN has a major projection. CNN projects that Donald Trump will win the state of North Carolina. This is the first of 7 battleground states that we're keeping an eye on, and we are calling it for Donald Trump. What does that mean for the electoral count? Donald Trump now has 227 electoral votes. Kamala Harris has 153. 207 are needed to win. Let's go to Trump HQ in West Palm Beach, Florida, where we find Caitlin Collins. And Caitlin, CNN is now calling North Carolina for Donald Trump. This is the first of 7 battleground states that the campaign is watching with eagle eyes.
Yeah, Jake, remember when I told you a few hours ago that it was going to be seen as a gut check for the Trump campaign? Listen here, it's a bit of a delay, but your call is playing right now over the loudspeakers in the room, Jake. You can hear the party here, the partygoers gathered at the convention center here in West Palm Beach cheering as your call is coming on the screen. They have been glued to CNN for the last several moments, watching John King at the map, going over each of these numbers. But North Carolina is an important benchmark for the Trump campaign because they were watching it to get a gut check for how they believe the rest of the evening could go. And I can tell you that what I'm hearing from Trump campaign sources is they are increasingly confident as the night is going on. Still not certain, of course, watching those very important blue wall states and to see what they look like. And so that is going to be the big question here as they continue to keep an eye on Pennsylvania, on Michigan, on Wisconsin as this is moving forward. Jake, I will tell you that we're seeing more people from the Mar-a-Lago party come over here to the Trump headquarters where this party is going to be held. But also, some Republicans are flying into Palm Beach. We just heard from House Speaker Mike Johnson, who was watching the results come in with his constituents back in Shreveport. He is now headed here tonight because he is predicting a bigger Republican margin in the House, a Republican takeover of the Senate, and he says he believes a Republican is going to win the White House, therefore Donald Trump, Jake. Obviously, still waiting to see, but a noticeable shift here in the mood at the Trump headquarters.
All right, Caitlin Collins in West Palm Beach at Trump HQ. Thank you so much. So, the first of the 7 battleground states to fall, CNN projecting North Carolina for Donald Trump.
This was the most probable pickup for Kamala Harris, if that was the world in which we were living. That is why Donald Trump went down there multiple times in the last 24, 48 hours of the campaign. And it clearly did not happen for Kamala Harris. And Trump he's telling his people, I'm told, and just like we heard from Caitlin, that this is something that portends well for the future. We don't know what it means for the other states, but what we do know is it's even more evidence that that blue wall is the path for Kamala Harris.
And that path is just more and more narrow. I think we're seeing as the night goes on. But also, so many people thought that perhaps this would be an election that in tenor and tone would be closer to the midterms, a big conversation about abortion. That is not where it's going. It seems like they're seeing that male turnout is starting to produce what the campaign wanted.
You know, I think a lot of us came into tonight wondering, was it going to feel more like 2016 or 2020? And 4 years ago, I was at Fox, and at almost exactly this moment, at 11:20 p.m., we made the very controversial call. They made the very controversial call of Arizona. And that changed the whole feeling. And that's one of the reasons the Trump campaign was so furious about that call, because it was the first flip and the first indication that maybe it was going to be different than 2016. Right now, and look, there's a lot of voting and states to be called, but right at this moment, this does feel more like 2016 than 2020.
It is interesting, and the fact that we're calling it at this point is also significant, because I don't think North Carolina was called last time 4 years ago until maybe a week after the election, or it was certainly after Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania came on Saturday. I think North Carolina was Sunday to Monday. The fact that we are making this call now suggests that
everybody to the Wild Wild West, a state that's untouchable like Elliot Ness. The track hits your eardrum like a slug to your chest, like a vest for your Jimmy in the city of sex. We in that sunshine state where the bomb ass him be, the state where you never find a dance floor empty and pimp speed. On a mission for them greens, lean, mean, money making machines, serving fiends. I've been in the game for 10 years making rap tunes. Ever since Honeys was wearing Sassoon, now it's 95 and they clock me and watch me diamond shining, looking like a Rob Liberace. It's all good from Diego to the Bay. Your city is the bomb if your city making pay. Throw up a finger if you feel the same way. Straight putting it down for California, yeah. West Coast. That's right. City of